Anyone who calls himself an archer should stand together and condemn Lars Andersen. So when I first saw the Lars Andersen Wilhelm Tell video, my first reaction was honestly, well, unnecessary. And I say this because, well, what does the video prove exactly? We know Lars is a skilled archer. That's beyond doubt. I know people criticize him for many things, but for my part, I haven't been critical of his ability as an archer. I'm critical of his historical interpretations and the way that some viewers and commentators extrapolate historical sources to describe historical archery and so on. But I'm not a critic of Lars himself as an archer or as a person. I think what he does is amazing. It's definitely entertaining, and there's a lot to take and to benefit from what Lars does. The problem, and the second part of the unnecessary mindset, is why include people in the demonstrations? And this is something which I've said before in the previous video. When he did his turning arrows video, he actually shot towards people. I kind of flipped my shit over the way he disregarded safety. And but a lot of people said, oh, he's practiced it safe, and I've reason to believe him. But this instance, he's shooting directly at people. And for what reason? Again, my first reaction was, well, okay, you don't need to do this. We know he's good, and I wasn't going to make a reaction video because, I'm over it now. People say, oh, NUSensei should make a video. He's going to have a heart attack. Yeah, I find it hard to watch, but, I wasn't going to care that much. But the last day or so, I've noticed something strange. Normally, you get a much more negative reaction from Lars's videos because people say it's not historical. There's a lot more petty arguments, but there's normally a bigger reaction to what Lars does, and I've noticed an absence of that. And all these people are, mass liking his videos and saying what a legend he is, and that's fine. He's good. I'm not jealous of that. The reason why I'm surprised at the lack of a negative reaction is Lars has pretty much broken every fundamental weapon safety rule, and no one seems to give a shit. I know some people in the comments have pointed out and questioned his judgment and urged him not to do this, but this is being too nice. I'm keeping a calm tone now, but this is insane, and anyone who has been trained in handling weapons would not see this as impressive or entertaining. This is pure and simple idiocy. And what this shows us is that Lars Andersen has reached a new level of hubris. What this shows us is arrogance, selfishness, and hypocrisy. And people are celebrating this. Now, if you're going to post in the comments and say, oh, you're a hater, you're jealous, and dislike this video, just go for it. Just do it right now. I'm not going to bother to respond to your comments. I'm not going to say anything in the comments. This is just my opinion, not the archery community, not anybody else's. This is my opinion. But this is something that I think we need to take very seriously. I would sometimes do a parody or mock people, but this time I'm deadly serious. So the thing which people, and I said before, understand most about weapons, and this is the same with firearms. One of the fundamental universal rules of weapons is you do not point the weapon at something unless you intend to destroy it. And when you put people in harm's way, then there is something in your mind which is not telling you, no, this is wrong. This has gone beyond entertainment now. It's just gone beyond just trick shooting or stunt shooting. This is just reckless endangerment. Now, in saying this, some people, if you go to the comments, will say, "Oh, read the description. You see that it's okay." So let's do that. Let's actually read the description. Do not do this yourself. Okay, don't do it. Wow, what a legend! Lars is. He'll tell people not to do things, but he'll do it himself. He'll flash 1,000 "don't try this at home" warnings, but he'll do it himself. So it's already a double standard. He can do it, nobody else can do it. So we can't win there. But let's keep on reading. For many years, people have asked me if I can shoot an apple off people's heads. Now, any archer has this question. I'm sure dozens of people have always asked you, can you shoot an apple off someone's head? I've had hundreds of people ask me in real life, on the internet. It's like the most common stereotype is shooting apples or splitting arrows, like a Robin Hood or Wilhelm Tell. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it. It's a strange justification to, I'm going to show I can do it. We can do it. It's not a hard skill, especially when we see later what Lars does. It's not difficult. But just because people ask, can we do it, doesn't mean we should do it. And that's a message I'm going to reinforce a lot in this video. I first made many safety trials, and the apple was no good, and he passes through to talk about apples. So basically, what he's concluded is that in these safety trials, apples aren't actually good targets because they're too squishy, they spurt juice everywhere, and it might deflect the arrow, so that's really bad. So he uses cans. That's very thoughtful. To shoot an arrow near people's heads, this requires 100% control. No, it doesn't. To shoot an arrow near someone's head means you need to have a 100% disregard for basic safety. Sure, controlling the arrow is good too, that's really important, but even someone with 100% flawless execution of archery skill and technique, and this is any archery expert, not just me, but any expert of any repute, big or large, whether it's any of the current masters, Lars Andersen or Mihai Cosme, Byron Ferguson, these people are not going to shoot at a person. They do other things. They might shoot rings or aspirin pills, but they won't be doing a stunt that involves people. So no, it does not require 100% control. It requires 100% madness, disrespect, and disregard for decency. I spent years training from the first time I consider it before it was safe to do. Now, many people in the comments have said that Lars Andersen can do this and no one else can because he's a professional. No, he's not. He's a professional painter, I'll give him that. He's apparently well trained by a very reputed Danish painter. So he's a very good painter, he's professional. He's not a professional archer. Firstly, if he was professional, he wouldn't do this. No weapons professional would ever point a weapon at a person. But the word professional carries another definition, another connotation. Now, we use the word pro to represent someone with skill, and he's very skilled, but he's not a professional. Professional implies that he is trained, that he is certified, that he is accredited, that he's recognized, and he's not. All right? He is a self-taught archer. His accomplishments are self-promoted, and every article you see about Lars Andersen simply echoes the claims he makes in the 2 or 3 videos that have gone viral. So he is not recognized by any accredited body of archery. His skills, his safety, his certification did not meet any standards. Now people seem to put Lars on a pedestal and say, oh yeah, he breaks rules, he does things which no archer will dare to do. Yeah, because we follow rules and regulations. We actually have respect for safety. And he just throws it all away. A professional follows standards. Lars does not follow standards. He sets his own standards. A professional works in teams to make sure everything is fully safe, that every possible safeguard, that every possible redundancy is included so that nothing happens. So the only reason that people deem this to be safe is because Lars said so. It's not certified, it's not validated, there's no check or balance. Simply, Lars said it is safe. He's practiced a lot, and people trust him. I think trust is the most important part here. If you trust someone to shoot the back of the head, then that's more trust than most people would give. But this is not professionalism, and this is a person who has no safeguards. I don't care how good a shooter you are. I don't care how many years you've been training. That doesn't mean you are above mistakes. Historical descriptions say trick archery should be made with a light bow, but it's still dangerous. Okay, we established that. So this is trick archery. By the way, people need to stop being offended when describe what Lars does as trick shooting. A lot of people are going to make comments say, oh, you're just jealous because it's not trick, it's war archery. No, this is trick archery. War archery is a different thing, but this is trick archery. He says so. So stop crying about trick archery. Some will say, well, of course say, it's not okay to use people as obstacles. Yeah, some people, yeah, everyone with a sane brain of common sense will say this. But these shots do not make sense without real people. That's the whole concept. No, the whole concept is safety first. Is this a justification to use people, to put people in danger? Because the books say that it's done with people, therefore I'm going to do it with people. The difficulty are not the shots, but the circumstances. In other words, these are not high school shots. And this is the hypocrisy, the irony of this. And this is why I actually shouldn't be pissed off. But so many people are touting Lars as such a skilled and amazing legendary shooter. He has set up a situation where it is a 100% hit rate. So where's the risk? So he's shooting a can of people's heads. Okay, so he's shooting a target the size of a can from a distance of less than 5 meters. This is every scene, all right? Look at this scene. We go to the painting scene here. That's not a far distance. That's probably less than 10 meters, maybe 7 meters. It's hard to tell with the angles. Look at the laundromat. He actually steps forward. Missed that. Sorry. He steps forward. He shoots from here. Again, that's around 5 meters away. Look at the space here. That's around, again, less than 5 meters away. This gets a little more dangerous, but most of the trick shots he's been doing are from a distance of no more than 5 meters. I can do that. That's what all my test videos are. All my reviews are done from less than 10 meters because that's all space I have. So you're shooting an object about the size of this chart time paper cup here at a distance of 5 meters. That's like saying I can always hit a bullseye from 5 meters away. Most archers who have a few weeks of experience can do this. Hitting a can isn't difficult, or hitting a can-sized object isn't difficult. Again, kids will do this with rocks or slingshots, and we can do it with guns and bows as well, of course. But you don't see people do this with guns. Guns are more accurate. We can put a rifle on a bench and put a can in someone's head and shoot that from 100 meters away and hit it. But people don't do that. Why not? Because it's fucking stupid. What does it prove? That you can hit a can. Anyone can do this. And Lars himself has just said, the difficulty are not the shots, but the circumstances. He's not setting himself up to do difficult shots. He's doing easy shots. Very easy shots. Extremely easy. At that distance, any competent archer, even a beginner, can do this. These are easy shots. What makes this entertaining is the circumstances. So it includes an element of risk. The shot itself is easy. So he decides to put people in the shot. And for what reason? What good reason would you want to risk someone's health and well-being, if not life, to make an easy shot look more entertaining? Either I choose to do these historical descriptions the right way with people, or else it is pointless to it all. You chose to do this to make yourself look better. This is pure self-aggrandizing. No, there's nothing that requires you to do this. You chose to do this. And as many people point out in the comments, you can equally do this with a dummy or a silhouette or something else to prove it's possible, and people will say, well, it's amazing. No matter how short range it is, people will still think it's amazing. But you didn't have to use real people. Any of the skill shots which were demonstrated at the beginning of this video, shooting coins or shooting things of animals' heads, those things are equally skilled. That's a good skill side. People will still be impressed. I'll still be impressed by that. But putting people in the picture because the legend said so, that is not something which forced your hand. You chose to do this. And since it is the most famous historical archery trick, I chose to make the right one. You chose to include people in a demonstration with no safeguards. All shots are at short distance. At long distance, uncertainty arises, so it's not 100% safe. Now, on one hand, it's good to hear that he's following some common sense safety. On the other, we again reinforce that concept. He is taking a zero difficulty shot. He is so close that he knows he cannot miss. So why are people entertained? And why are people involved as human targets? And no matter how skilled you are never above safety. Everything is 100% right until something goes wrong. No one was hurt because I had been training very much and long before. No amount of training is going to make you 100% safe. People make mistakes. Things go wrong. No amount of expertise is going to prevent an accident from happening. It can minimize it, but can never prevent. To shoot a metal plate in front of my friend's place was really uncomfortable. I'll never do it again. Good. The purpose of this video was to show that these historically described archery tricks can be performed. And whoever doubted this, whoever said these things couldn't be performed, anyone can shoot at an apple. Anyone can shoot at a can or a bubble teacup. This is not impossible. Why does Lars make it sound like a revelation? This might not surprise people. Apparently he rediscovered archery, ancient forgotten techniques. What else is going to rediscover? That apparently you can split an arrow? Like the most famous Robin Hood trick shot, right? Who asked for this? Who said it couldn't be done? We know it can be done. We know you can shoot an apple or a can off someone's head. Most of us can do it, but we don't because we know it shouldn't be done. This is why Lars is such a controversial figure, because he fabricates these straw man arguments, these false points. He claims false things about modern archery or history to make his archery look better, to make himself look better. And this is a classic example. He wants to prove that it can be done. We know it can be done. There's no new ground here. There's no, wow, this is something we've never seen before. We don't see this because it's stupid. But it can be done, and nobody ever questioned that. The last line here. And then I probably never do it anymore. Probably. That's not good enough. Probably not do it anymore. It didn't stop him to begin with. He's done it before already. This isn't the first time he shot at people. And probably not do it again. What kind of promise is that? This is someone who has no problems in putting people at risk, shooting an arrow at someone's head, and he's probably not going to do it again. See, there's probably something worse than seeing all these stunts and not succeeding. There's something worse than that, and that is seeing someone do stunts like this and succeed, because it builds that arrogance. It builds that overconfidence that, oh, this is actually too easy. That's what he said in the video. These shots are too easy. So it's going to escalate it to the next level. It's going to do something riskier and riskier. Make it edgier. Push that safety boundary. Because if he can shoot at someone's head once or twice or 20 times, he'll do a harder shot. What is the boundary? That boundary he stepped over long ago when he pointed a weapon at someone else. I'm disappointed that so many people have celebrated this as an achievement. And the people who enjoy this, armchair viewers, kids, people who never handled weapons, who think this is amazing. And it's such a shame, because this is during the midst of all this positive press with Lars Andersen. You know, he's worked on the Robin Hood film, and there's a lot of buzz around that, positive and negative. Bow International magazine actually ran an article interviewing Lars Andersen, calling him a friend or foe, and there were positive moves to reconcile the split between Lars and the rest of the archery community. And here he is, shooting at people. How can anyone respect this and be entertained by such a reckless endangerment of life? Anyone who calls himself an archer should stand together and condemn Lars Andersen. None of these feats should be recognized. They shouldn't be celebrated. They shouldn't be praised. They shouldn't be shared or promoted. Lars Andersen is not a legend. Nobody is above safety. And if you regard yourself so highly that you are going to disregard all safety rules and do this as a form of entertainment for clicks, for likes, for revenue, for self-promotion, then you'd better be God Almighty. No sane person will acknowledge this as a positive thing. For my part, I'm done. I don't respect Lars anymore. I will not acknowledge him. I will not respond to him. As far as I'm concerned, he's blacklisted from the archery community. Now again, if you don't like my opinion, it's up to you. If you want to dislike this video, call me a jealous archer, whatever. I'm not going to respond. But know this, Lars Andersen is a millimeter away from disaster.